here in Australia, actually your event, in terms of presentation, being organized, on time, venue, everything, is probably up there with the best trials we have in the world.
Yeah, it was like hats off to like all the guys that helped me out with it. Like I think we did a very good job.
When I was scrolling through the divisions on trials, they were stacked. 77, you had how many? Do you remember?
It was like 75.
75 people in one division.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all the divisions were the biggest divisions that's ever been for the Asia and Oceania Trials. As well with the women, absolutely smashed it with the women. Like, divisions were massive.
I have to admit that I was a bit thinking like, man, this would be a hard day in the office for Bob. To beat Lucas today, it's not something that can easily happen. And how did you view like when
he's just got no quitting him, has he, Bob? Yeah, he's, like he was saying after, he won the AJP Masters Worlds. He did
second place in the adult worlds in the same year.
He's won the trials before. He's 36. Could be like a Wagner or a
Wagner Russia.
He just keeps going here, to keep performing at that level and to beat someone like Lucas, who's just been in such great form. He just knows how to win, doesn't he?
Do you think you are moving to greater things on this side of the world as well with ADCC, maybe? In terms of production, because every year is getting better.
Yeah, like...
Are we expecting to have fireworks next year? Or?
Well, yeah, definitely got ideas to make it even better for next time, so...
Yeah, we have 2 years to plan, so...
Yeah. In the last couple of years, ADCC has been getting, a bit of slack or underwhelming event, ADCC Trials,
Yeah.
Yeah, so when it started just filling up and all the top names are in there, I was like, oh shit, it's not going away. It's still, so everyone's just keen for it. So I definitely want to go and do the next national championship in Melbourne. The next one, I would like to do it in Melbourne, and then definitely the trials. The next trials we get, it will be in Melbourne as well.
In Melbourne. Yeah. So we know now 2028.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We had so with the two events we had Subversion ADCC Open and ADCC Trials. Do you know yet why we had? Was in your plans to have masters on both sides, or was just happened?
Well, it was originally I had the Open. It was just kids, beginners, and intermediate. No pro or anything.
No pros yet.
Pro master, there was nothing. And then I just thought like all the pros are going to be doing the trials, and then some people, who are like, brown, black belt, or they didn't feel like, I'm not going to do so well. I want to compete just a regular, but I didn't have it. So people were sending me messages like, can we just have pros as well on the Open? And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's just put them in and do an extra. Yeah.
Because I think the thing is with the set of rules, right? With if you want to compete in the Open and you didn't have pros, you would have to. If you are a black belt or a brown belt or you train for more than 4 years, you kind of feel like cheating if you sign up for the intermediate.
Yeah.
But you might not want to go trials.
Yeah.
When I look up to do trials, and I was talking with Bob, and I weighed about 84, 85, and I looked up, all right, if I sign trials, at my point in time and age and how busy I am, I'm not going to do a weight cut to 77. It's so hard, as I used to. And then I said, I was going to sign up 88. And then I spoke with Bob, and I said, I'm going to compete 88. I said, how much do you weigh now? He's like, 96 and a half. And I thought, oh, man, this guy's going to hurt me if I go there.
He's solid, isn't he, now? He's just massive.
But a lot of the guys on the 88 were, everyone is cutting because of the weigh-in the night before. I'm not sure if you had a chance to have a look, George, with at the weigh-in on Saturday after the end of the Open. I saw a line of guys there from about 5 o'clock just laying on the floor, like, half dead, just waiting for the scales to open. What do you think of that for? I've done many comps, but what do you think of the weigh-in the day before? Is it necessary, or is it just protocol to do it, or is it better, worse?
I just looked at like previous trials, like West Coast, East Coast. I mean,
it has to be done like that for ADCC, right?
Yeah, they do a day before.
But do you think personally, better would be just like weighing on the day? And
I think it's better. Yeah, it was good to get it out of the way the day before. And then so on the day, it's just like there's no fucking around like with all the weigh-ins. It's just everyone's done it already. Bang, we can just get started. You know? Instead of like a whole process of weighing.
That was much better.
Yeah.
I think that's in that sense as an organizer it helps that, right? Because you can just get in and run with the day. You don't have to weigh in on the day. You always get more problems to resolve.
Yeah.
And did you have many? The part that nobody sees, but did you have many problems prior to the event, at the event?
Oh yeah,
with competitors, with people, with
the weigh-in, like on the Saturday Open, you know, the doors are opening at like 8:30, and you know what it's like when you're trying to get everything going and get everyone in positions, and you're doing this, you're doing that, and you're running around, and I'm just getting the doors open. First person comes through the door, and he's like, I'm here to weigh in. I'm like, oh, yeah, weighing's going to be over there soon, but we're going to do the kids first. And he's like, I'm weighing in for trials. I was like, nah, mate, weighing for trials is at 6 p.m. And he's like, well, no, I've got to work tonight, so I'm weighing in now. I was like, mate, that's not my problem. And it was just as I was opening the doors and stuff. And he was like, oh, well, like, you know, he just gave me his whole story, and I was just like, mate, sorry, like, you know, that's it. And then people were coming up to me during the day. Can I just weigh in now? My guys are really tired. I'm like, no, it's 6. It says 6 p.m. But yeah, and then
but everyone wants to. And then,
and then once like we had everyone like sort of organising in place, I was just like, oh yeah, let's just open it at 5:30 and get it going.
Yeah, and other than that, like, do you get many problems with people, for example? Because, well, there's one that is actually then not the competitor's fault, but, you know, not many events reach capacity. And capacity for the ADCC is much less than usual events. Yeah. So I was one that got caught, you know, I was like, man, it's closing soon, or it closed. Did you have many people like addressing you because, missed my entry?
Yeah, so I underestimated the size of the event. I just tried to base it off what I'd done previous and what the last sort of trials looked like in like Thailand and stuff. So yeah, I was like, oh yeah, it should be this sort of number of competitors, and I only had room for 3 mats. So you saw what it was like. There's not much room. So, and the mats obviously they've got to be a lot bigger than the IBJJF mats. And when it was like a week before the event, the registrations closed, and I could see it just constantly climbing, and I was like, shit, we're going to be there like really late. If it keeps going like this, we'll be there till 10, 11 o'clock at night. And the head organizer, Marco, he said you can do that, you can just keep going. But I was a bit like, we had to, you know, and then with the venue, had to be out of there at like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So I was like, we can hopefully if we finish around 8, we've got a couple of hours to just get everything out of there.
To pack it out, yeah.
Yeah, and we were out the door at like 9:10 or something. So pretty good for timing. So yeah, next time I'm always going to put on at least 4 mats, and just so everyone gets a chance to get in, register, and compete.
Yeah, look, but the thing is, trials have taken bigger proportions now. People are trialing more. I remember when trials used to be like just a handful of people. I was having a chat with Elvis there at the day, and he participated I think on the first ADCC or second, I believe the first.
Yeah.
When it was invitation only. I remember ADCC 1, maybe 2 or 3, for you to go in, they had 4 main seeds, like 4 main guys invited, and 4 secondary to make a bracket of 8.
Yeah.
And that was it. But everyone was invited, you know, and later on came the idea of running trials. And trials all over the world have been kind of a bit of an underground thing for so long. And only recently they started like improving a little bit. And here in Australia, actually, your event was probably, in terms of the latest trials that I've seen. In America, they run some quite organized. Brazil was okay.
Yeah.
But in terms of presentation, being organized, on time, venue, everything is probably up there with the best trials we have in the world nowadays.
Yeah, it was like hats off to like all the guys that helped me out with it. Like we did, I think we did a very good job.
Mm. Yeah. And one thing that we were chatting the other day that was very interesting, is your history with trials, because it's something. When I arrived in Australia in 2004, I remember watching 1 or 2 trials, and they were like they were smaller than the normal comps that were already small. There were maybe 15 guys competing at the trials. It used to be like, so small. I remember when Igor, wrestler, Igor, he won the trials, and I remember watching him with this other random guy, and it was like 1 or 2 matches with someone that doesn't even train that hard, and you get in, and then it died off, it disappeared, and he came back when you ran the first one. How did that come about? Like, what would make you go out of your way and think, I'm just gonna go and resurrect this already dead ADCC trials and try to make something big?
Yeah, so it had gone a bit quiet. There wasn't any events, and I had just been doing some submission only tournaments myself, and Rusty, our mate Rusty, he was the one who actually pushed me to do. He was pushing me to do something else. Like, he was like, you gotta do more. You gotta, like, because obviously he just wants to get his mats used more, get his money. So
get comps going.
Yeah. So he was like pushing me now, and I remember just sitting there, and I was like thinking, well, what else could I do? And then I was just like, well, where's the ADCC gone? Like, so I remember just jumping on the website, and I was looking through the federations, and I found John Donahue, Australian president, and I just sent him an email and just basically said, look, I'm keen to help out, like get something, I haven't seen any tournaments for a while. If you need a hand, I can jump in, and I've organised a few events, and I think we could get it going again. And he straight away just was like, okay, let's give it a go.
Oh, that's cool. But you told me as well that wasn't ADCC your first ever tournament you attended?
So I was like, when I first started jiu-jitsu, and I was a white belt. The boys were just like, there's a tournament that over at the uni, and it was Ben Aldridge. He was a purple belt at the time, I think, and they were like, he's going to compete in it. So we're like, we'll go over there, and it was just a straight final in the 77. And he unfortunately lost, but
who was the winner? Do you remember who was 77? Would it be Rodney?
Rodney Ellis.
Ellis. These are the guys that were winning. Rodney Ellis.
And I remember Igor
winning as well that year.
Julio Guerrero from Gracie Barra. I'm sure I remember him competing there. That's about it. That's all I remember. It's so long ago now.
Our trials used to be like.
It was a long time ago.
This was
like, and again, it was on like puzzle mats at the uni or something, I'm pretty sure.
But if you look this year, Thailand was still puzzle mats on top of puzzle mats, which is fine. People went there, did their trick. I think last trials there were like this, and then I remember you started running the event, growing a little bit every year.
Well, you competed the first one that I ran at Sutherland.
Sutherland, yes.
Yeah, you did the first one.
Yeah, I've competed the first one, which was, can't remember, 2018?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Something around there. And now they are so much bigger, better organized. Is that something you kind of been not only proud of, but is something you want to keep taking to the next level? What are the plans coming for the next trials?
Because people on the weekend were like, you got to do more. You got to, when are you coming back? And obviously, like I'm already like super busy as it is, and definitely, it's definitely a lot of work, as like running states. It's a lot of work involved, especially on a 2-day event as well. And I'm basically like, oh, we'll see. Like, I definitely want to go and do the next national championship in Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
The next one, like, I would like to do it in Melbourne, and then definitely the next trials we get, it will be in Melbourne.
It'll be in Melbourne. Yeah. So we know now 2028.
Yeah, that's what
Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, John actually said to Marco after the event when they went out for dinner, I didn't get invited to dinner. No, I actually said, like, you just take him out for dinner. I've got all this to finalise. You
got to do the job. Got to do the work.
Like, just don't. Yeah, don't.
So John has a very good deal having you as his business partner. You know, like, you set up, you run the event.
Yeah, well, yeah. John just had back surgery.
Yeah.
Like, pretty invasive, like, back surgery where they have to like go in through the front and do all that. So he didn't do. He was pretty much sat down the entire weekend. He didn't do much. So when it finished, I was just like, yeah, just don't worry about me. You just take him out and have dinner. I'll finish up here with the boys. Yeah. But yeah, he said to him at the end, he was like, oh, you know, what do you think about us do it in Melbourne for the next one? And he was like, yeah. He said he loves Melbourne, so that's good. So he was just like, yeah. So he said he doesn't like Sydney.
No. Yeah. Well. As long as it comes to Australia, who cares? You know, because Australian. I was having a chat on the day with Lachlan Giles, and he was mentioning, you know, like, he had to go to Korea. Where else? Korea, Kazakhstan. You know, to compete Australasia. Now, since you and the team been running it, we are pretty privileged. We have it in Australia. You know, like, if it's Melbourne, Sydney, Gold Coast, Perth, still home. You don't need to. Yeah. You don't need a visa, passport. You just, you know, get the Jetstar flight, get there, compete, go home. Yeah. Some people drove into trials and drove back home. Yeah. So, you know, it
just makes sense because, like, even for the Thailand trials before, like, most of the competitors are from Australia. So it's.
Makes sense to have it here.
Yeah, you got to have one. My opinion is you've always got to have at least one trials in Australia out of the two, because we're the ones filling the divisions.
One thing about that I don't know how it works. Me being, you know, in Australia, well, both of us as immigrants, I know that Australia is not the easiest country in the world for you to get in, you know, to get a visa to. So do you think, or did you see this time this being a bit of a barrier for some competitors, or everyone that wanted to get in got in, you think?
I remember, like, seeing a lot of emails going out for just like letters for their visa applications. So John was sending the letters, and I think a lot went out. And obviously we had a lot of Japanese competitors. I don't think that's a big issue for Japanese people getting in. I remember the number one seed of the 66, his visa got denied, so he didn't come. He was registered, and then, like, a few days out, he was just like, oh, I didn't get my visa, I can't come. So it's like, oh shit.
Well, lucky for a Kazakhstani boy.
And then I think John said he wrote maybe at least 10 letters for the Kazakhstanis, and 2 of them competed. I don't know, what
competed. Yeah. I was asking a few guys on the day, and curious to see what is your opinion. When we see in MMA these, you know, Kazakhstani, Dagestani, the whole region, they produce some really good fighters. The guy that won the Kazakhstani boy that won 66, I won't butcher his name trying to pronounce, but
Miva.
Yeah, he was really good. Like, watching him compete through all the matches, it was, like, pretty cool. The final against David Soyaski was like David was on point. He wasn't making any mistakes, you know, like, and he still managed to use it. It felt like he had rubber legs. He got out of everything on point, not considered a point in one. And do you think if you go to Kazakhstan into a gym, is everyone like that? Or we are just seeing, like, that the top of the mountain, the best ones coming out of there? Because I have this feeling that there's so many good Kazakhstanis or Dagestanis that just don't get out of the country. Yeah. What do you think?
Before, there was most of the Kazakhs were, like, in the heavier divisions, you know, like under 99, over 99. There's some big boys there. So that, like in the lighter weights, I hadn't seen many. But I knew about this guy before he came. I think he got second at the Bangkok trials.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just again like in Kazakhstan, they love judo, sambo, grappling, jiu-jitsu. They're mad for it. So
mm-hmm.
They're always gonna produce some good guys.
So if you said there were a few letters issued, and only one guy came through.
Two guys.
Two guys. Yeah,
I don't know what happened.
So there must be quite a few of them more that we don't get to see yet. That we might see hopefully soon. I'm all in favor. There's always this thing about the Brazilian dominance in results in IBJF or even in ADCC to an extent, which as a Brazilian born, I'm kind of proud in a way. But for the sport, every time we have champions from different countries, the sport just grows. Like you take Adam Wadzinski from Poland. The moment he becomes world champion, jiu-jitsu just grow a lot more in a whole region. And so when I see the podium, of course, like as a person born in Brazil, I have that part of patriotism. I'm pretty proud of, never having an open weight champion IBJF that is non-Brazilian. And it's cool, but it will have to happen one day. And when we start getting champions coming from other places, I think that's what makes the sport, pretty cool. Like countries, gyms, whatever.
There's a lot, like we had the Filipino boy win the Worlds just before as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
So it's just like all these countries that are just catching up.
And here in these trials, going to the results, I'm not sure the other trials, but here in Australia, we had Kanai, champion for Japanese.
Yeah.
We have Kazakhstani boy. We have New Zealand. A few Australians, of course, being in Australia, and maybe a few others. I think it's quite diverse, the results you got here.
Yeah, like I think the last one, it was similar. Like I think it was mostly dominated by the Australians, but there's always some Japanese in there or Kazakhs.
But with trials, I think even the trials that were run, let's say, in the other parts of Australasia, we still had majority Australian champions.
Oh, so like before it was always you'd have like Lockie, Kitdale, Craig, Liv and stuff like that.
So Australians still got the most champions out of the region, regardless where the trials are. But in Australia or other places in the region, there are champions from, let's say, for example, in Brazil, we have pretty much only Brazilian champions. In America, you have only American champions, And here, I think it's more diverse. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's good because it's like when the Kazakhstani kid weighed, he weighed in. When he weighed in and hit the mark, the whole team just erupted. Like, just like everyone, it was screaming. I was like, holy shit, it's like they won the event, just from weighing in. And we were like, oh, what's going on? He was like, they were like, we had to travel like 25 hours to get here. And like, when you're flying, you're gonna
retain water.
And so he had difficult weight cut when he got here. And he didn't look crash hot when he was weighing in. So it's just like, big effort to fly all that way, weight cut, and then win the event. You had to do 6 matches to win or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, and all divisions. That's another thing. When I was scrolling through the divisions on trials, they were stacked. 77, you had how many? Do you remember?
It was like 75.
75 people in one division.
All the I looked at the previous trials and stuff, and I'm pretty sure, like I'm 98% sure, like all the divisions were the biggest divisions that's ever been for the Asia and Oceania Trials, and as well with the women, absolutely smashed it with the women. Like there was, the divisions were massive. Like before, I think the last trials, because it used to be 2 divisions for the women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in both, I think one division, the under 65, I think I had like 8 women, and then in the plus 65 there was I think there was only like 6 women, and then we had divisions of like 20, like of the women.
This time, yeah. And this time we had the under 55, the under 65, and the over 65.
Yeah.
So 3 divisions, and they're all bigger.
All.
That's one thing as well that I was talking to some of the competitors there. I was even chatting with Adele about it, and the female competitors in jiu-jitsu are definitely developing. The level, watching the finals and watching the whole division, it's quite high now in the girls and the guys. And do you think it's fairer that we, as it goes, we keep, as long as more girls keep signing up, we keep adding divisions, we keep bringing the female jiu-jitsu up as well? Or how is that seen from an organizer point of view? It's kind of...
Yeah, it definitely makes sense to make an additional lighter division.
Mm-hmm.
So now there's 3 divisions. I don't have any say, or
but it's cool that it's done.
Yeah.
It was done.
Yeah,
because this year I just learned that ADCC actually took out the open weight, the female open weight.
Oh, for
the coming one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard. I'm not sure if it's official. Which is, if it happens, it's pretty disappointing, because we have Adele Fornarino from Australia that is the open weight champion.
Yeah.
And if they take out the open weight, it's almost like stripping you off your title, right? You gotta, like, this is let's say, I was told by a friend for now, but if it's true, it's kind of disappointing, because
you gotta give it.
You add in divisions, and you take the open weight. It's a pretty big title. I feel that ADCC, one of the things that differentiate ADCC from other tournaments is that the open weight champion fights the super fight, which has always been a classic, the 20-minute super fight. And at the level it is, there are so many super tough girls competing. And I'm not even saying from the point of equality. Whatever we deliver to men, we deliver to girls. But if they are putting the work, they are getting the results, they are getting the exposure, give them the open weight and the super fight as well. Imagine how cool it will be to see, the new open weight champion being whoever it will be versus Adele in the next one. So.
Yeah, I hope they do that.
I hope they keep it. I've heard they are taking it out, but
because it's like it's a division where you can really make your name as well. Like if you can, like Lockie, came in, one of the smaller guys and just ran through and just got a 3rd place medal. Or if now if they do an open weight, if the absolute of the women, and a lighter girl comes in and tears through it, they can really build their name off that, can't they? So
and Adele being such a light.
Yeah, she's one of the lightest ones.
I like her. She will have the same effect
Yeah.
as Lachlan in the Open. And imagine now if Lachlan had been the champion and he would then have a super fight having to face sorry. Technical interruption. Yeah, but if you see now with Lockie, if he had won the open weight, then he would have gotten a super fight. He could get any, I don't know, could be him versus any giant in a super fight, which is even cooler. Like, let's say if now...
Oh, it would have been him versus Galvão, wouldn't it?
Yeah, him versus Galvão, you know what I mean? Like, what a match, you know? Yeah. And, yeah, but if that's... Well, let's see. I've heard it's taken out, hopefully not, you know, and... but that definitely adds to the event. They are discussing the whole thing now about, you know, pays and things like that, which for me, you know, it's such an open subject, you know, it's hard even to have an opinion about it. And one thing I wanted to get your view, since you run the event and you were there, you know, every minute watching, guiding, fixing things in the results, like how did you find in, you know, the performance of some of those matches? For example, in the girls 55, I remember watching that final, Margot Ciccarelli versus Kanai Ikeda. I didn't know much about Kanai before. Did you know much about Kanai before that match?
Only from what we researched for the seeding. Like before that, I didn't know anything about her.
Yes, because I saw that Margot is extremely accomplished,
we know
a very high-level competitor, and I was really impressed with Kanai's versatility and her wrestling capabilities. Like, she was so much smaller, and
she's small,
like that was a pretty cool final. Did you?
Yeah.
Not sure if you had a chance to watch much that one. And
I only caught the end of it.
Yeah, it was like a really cool match. Then on the 65, we had.
Yeah, Dave.
No. On the 65 female.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, we had Nadia winning that division. Nadia was dominant the whole event.
Yeah.
I feel that even I was interviewing her after the match, and I felt that out of all the champions, she was the one that wasn't like extremely. She was probably the happiest she's ever been.
Yeah, she did,
but
not too much emotion.
I think she was just like, she said to me, that was a relief. You know what I mean? Like, it's the job is done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because she's done a few trials. She's podiumed a few times.
Yeah.
So it's good. Yeah, she finally got the gold, and she can make her debut at ADCC.
Then we had Matilda and Lily in the final of the over 65. One thing that we were watching, is Matilda over 65? Or she went up for the division?
Yeah, she changed division before the event. Yeah, she just a late change.
I think it was maybe a strategic move to not be bunched up in the under 65 girls.
But she's become the youngest trials winner.
Ever?
For Oceania at least. Yeah.
Wow, how old is she?
17.
17 and a trial winner. Well, that's... I actually... There are probably less than a handful of people in the world that ever achieved that.
Yeah.
But that happens a lot of people, moving divisions, trying to get, like sometimes a better option. I, for one, when I competed the Open the day before, I looked the 83 division, which is where I can fit, and there were like a whole bunch of guys. In 91, there was only 4. I was like, I'll go 91. I'm in the middle. I better go there. And same did. I was chatting with him before the event, Jeremy Skinner. He just had a baby, he's a new father, and he's in shape, prepared, but he said he wasn't, let's say, in his best shape or trial ready. But he felt there was a little bit of a possible easier grab of a ticket on the 99 plus. What did you think of his run?
Yeah, he did really well, didn't he? Yeah, he got third place. I was thinking like, he can definitely go far. Mm-hmm. But I was just thinking of what if he ends up like having 2 or 3 like really hard matches against some guys that are like 130, just wearing on him, and then he might get to the third match and just be like exhausted because he's just been in just a war from the last 2 guys. But he managed to not expend that much energy from what I saw with his first 2 matches.
Yeah, I think he got good, not so hard subs. I think I remember him getting Didier in the quarterfinals, and with an armbar, a really cool armbar. Yeah. And I think he got someone else's leg before, so he passed through. And he only lost in the semifinal to Bilal, which ended up being
it was a close one.
And that was a close one, and ended up being the champion. So was probably the one match that could have stopped him was the same. That could have been the final, for example.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Skinner that fought, I think, won the trials at 66, at 77.
He got silver at 77.
No, got 7 at 77, and now, I don't think he was over 99. I believe he was sitting at around 80. He will be under 88. But now competing he got
a little bit upset with me when we brought out the seeds, because I was doing the seeds with Raf from 411. Raf had him at I remember he said 3 or 4, and I was a bit like, what about these other guys that have placed in the plus 99 at trials? Why should he be ahead of the guys that have always been grinding in that division and getting the 3rd, 4th places? And what I actually thought was, well, imagine if you're in the UFC and if you're in the lightweight division and you're the champion of the lightweight and you just go straight up to heavyweight, you're not going to be ranked in the top 10.
But you're going to get a title shot. You will go look.
Do you believe that? You reckon?
Look, Poitin now. You know.
Yeah, but he was a middleweight and light heavyweight champion.
And he moved up.
And he moved
straight
up and he got
to a title shot.
Yeah, but imagine if you were like
not the champion.
Yeah, well, if you were just in the lightweight.
Someone really good in the divisions below.
Yeah.
And then you go up. If you should get the placement you have in your division equivalent in the higher division.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But where
I thought it was pretty fair. To be honest.
What was his seeding?
Fifth
yeah.
seed out of 20 plus. Was it 20 something guys? I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Like, you won 66, placed at silver at 77, like pretty high. That pretty high up for plus 99, where all the guys are like 120, 130.
So that's a good question actually on seeding. Do you?
But then some people were like, well, why is Bilal so high? And we were like, well, that's just he's got far in trials before. Plus, there's a lot of hype around him as well. That's why we believed he was one of the best guys. So that's why he got placed.
But do you think, like, look, I've seen in the past, and just for us to, it's a cool talk about seeding. And I've heard interviews of Fabio Gurgel talking about the seeding on how it used to be done. Now IBJJF is all on points, so there's no.
It's pretty.
The seeding is automatic.
Yeah.
But back in the day when they used to draft the bracket for the black belt open weight at Worlds, it will be a meeting where you have the biggest names. You will have Guilherme Mendes, you will have Fabio Gurgel, you will have all the leaders of the checkmat, you have all these guys of the main team sitting there to do the brackets. And there were complaints in the past that Roger Gracie used to have sometimes a easier bracket, that they would favor him. Mm-hmm. And I remember, if I'm not wrong, Fabio Gurgel saying on an interview, there was a picture of the meeting, and all coaches were there, all team leaders. And the discussion was, if you have your competitor from your team there, do you want him on the same side or opposite side to Roger Gracie? And that's why Roger Gracie has an easy seat, because everyone that has a good competitor puts it on the other side. You know what I mean? And he ended up probably with an easier round, because none of the top guys want to face him before the final.
Right.
You want to be in the main fight.
Okay, so that's how they used to do it.
So that's how they used to do it. But now when you do seeding nowadays, and you don't have the data to do it, you just have to create. Do you find hard to create a criteria? Because like you said, Jeremy Skinner was very high ranked in the lower divisions, but should that translate to the 99 plus? Bilal was not high ranked, but there's a hype about him and it's pretty good. Like how do you get your head around all this? How do you make it fair? How do you take the emotion out of it? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know for next time I'm stepping away from doing it. I'll just
someone will have to do it.
I'm like, I can't be bothered doing, because it took a long time to do all that stuff, especially for Raf as well.
Yeah.
It took a while, but he was going through 66, 77, 88, where there's 70 guys in 66 and 77. There was, I think, nearly 40 in the 88, and he's investigating all of them. We're going through a lot of guys, through checking their records, see where if they've been to trials before, how far they went, what their accolades are, all that sort of stuff, what belts they are. But yeah, I just know for next time, I'm just like, I'm not going to do it. Like,
I think you should have a commission.
Well, I'm going to do.
You should have like a group of 4 or 5 guys.
Mikhail from Absolute.
Yeah.
I asked Mikhail. I was like, Mikhail, would you want to do it with Raf next time? You guys, you two can just discuss.
Yeah.
Because
one thing that is kind of tricky as well when you bring people to do trials, and I think Mikhail is definitely probably one of the good guys to do that. But he's also the coach for one of the most dominant teams at trials. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that he will favor his guys, but it's one of those things. Like when I used to referee, I hated refereeing my own students because and the boys at Legacy, you know, like Caio, Eric, Ricardo, when they referee, they already tell. Caio always told the students, man, if it's a draw, you're losing it. You know what I mean? Because if you're from my team, because I don't want to run the risk of being, you know, favoring someone. So he said, if you guys have a draw, I'm giving to the other guy, you know. So actually, instead of favoring us, it becomes a problem. Yeah. But that's why I say a commission could be you will need a group of, like, if you look at BJF Worlds back in the day, they'll have a whole meeting, they'll have a full room, you know, of people to make, because it's such an important decision, you know, on who is doing that.
Yeah,
and
I believe, like,
some of the refs maybe, or, you know, like, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, like, I believe that Raf did a very good job. And when I looked at it and saw where he placed his guys and stuff, I immediately knew that he wasn't trying to, you know, like, put his guys, you know,
in a better place. Yeah.
He was very honest with all that sort of stuff, so it was great. So
yeah, no, and most people would. I think him. If you put Mikhail, I think he will do the same thing. But it's one of those things, you know, that it's hard. I would find if I had a big team competing at trials, I would feel like, you know, if I'm doing the seating, I'll be like, all right, I need 3 or 4 people with me here. We're gonna make these decisions together, because had some of his guys won, you know, and this information comes out now, you always have that person going back, oh, you know, how did it happen? Oh, but why wasn't he here? Was he there? You know?
I think, like, you know, when we got to quarters and semi-finals, it was all pretty much...
The guys that should be there are the ones that were...
fair, like, it was all pretty organised. So.
No, I agree.
And, like, because I remember in one of the Asian trials, it was like they just pressed random generate on the brackets, and everyone was like, what the hell's going on here? Like, everyone was like just erupted on social media, you know, and then they were like, oh, and they were like trying to like fix it, and then they did fix it a bit, but there was that instance, and there was that one time at Euro Trials when Joseph Chen won the 77, and he just like had the worst side. He was just like fighting all the best guys until he won it, where Tarza, who fought in the final, had like he just like had
straight pass. Yeah,
just like
that's what I'm saying. So the trials is too important.
Yeah,
the brackets are too important to have. Most comps that we run, random generate, and it's done. Fight whoever is there, you know. But that doesn't mean anything. There's the end result is kind of if you're the champion, you beat whoever is in front of you. For trials, you know, strategy will count, everything will count, you know. And but back on the results, there were a couple of matches, a couple of finals. One of the finals, I remember, I think I asked you at the time, or no, I asked some of the boys that were there next to me. The final of the under 99, where we had Daniel Manchild versus Sab Attard. And I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch that.
Yeah, I was watching that one.
That final. Yeah. And both of them were coming pretty good throughout the bracket. And when they got to the final, you know, I was a bit unsure, because both of them are like a really, really nice guys.
Yeah.
Are not your typical, you know, egocentric competitor. They were both like pretty chilled, and they were performing well. So I had that thing, you know, who deserves more, or who should win. And I had in my mind that Daniel, I think this was his 6th trial, and he got second.
He's done a lot of trials.
And it's even more maybe, and he got second a couple of times. I watched him slip out of his fingers, you know, a few times. So when I saw him becoming quite dominant, I felt, maybe that's his day now. And I remember telling him before the matches, I said, man, I'm not sure when, but I hope your day comes, and you know, you never know, maybe it's today, you know. But then talking to Sab and seeing him going through, I was feeling the same way, you know, like, man, he deserves as well. He's kind of, you know, like, has worked hard and done a lot of things.
Yeah.
Did you have a special opinion or feeling on that match, or did you get to cheer and watch?
Yeah, like, you know, before the final, I was like gunning for Seb, but like I wanted Seb to win it and go to ADCC, because I've just known him since he was like 16, 17 or something. You know, he was like, when I first started doing tournaments, he was there as a white belt. He was in the white belt juveniles, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I've just seen, you know, I've seen him just his whole journey basically. I've seen followed him the whole time, and he obviously had that nasty leg break like just over a year ago, and he's managed to come back, and he's competed a bunch of times, and even though I really like Dan Schwartz, real nice guy, solid competitor, comes from a good team, good crew. I was just like, I was hoping Seb would have got up, but I spoke to him after, and I thought he would be like hell devastated, but he was actually quite in good spirits, and he was just like, you know what, I'm young, I still got chances to win this, so.
Oh, plenty.
Yeah.
He'll probably.
I would like to see him do 88 though. I think he told me he was like 95 kilos, didn't cut, and when you said like Bob was 96 and he cut, I was like, well, Seb could, he could get to 88 the day before and
take on a bit of discipline and cut that weight, and
then fight Bob in the final.
Fight Bob in the final. That's the thing with trials. There's nowhere to run, right?
Yeah.
And talking about Bob, the 88 kilo division, watching from, I was watching the bracket like from both sides. I think they sit number 1 and 2, I believe.
Yeah.
So watching from, both sides, and watching Lucas Kennard, I think he fought less than 2 minutes to make it to the final. His performance was like, in a way as expected for him, because he's been performing like that, like he's been super consistent on, delivering it, and very tight leg lock game, and he delivered exactly that. Bob, as he usually does, he fought worse from the minute 1. This time he didn't have a bend in his head or head cuts as usual, but he fought worse. When they got to the final, I'm good friends with Bob, but I really admire Lucas's jiu-jitsu and his career. I have to admit that I was a bit thinking like, man, this would be a hard day in the office for Bob. It's to beat Lucas today. It's not something that can easily happen. And how did you view like when
he's just got no quitting, has he, Bob? Yeah, he's just had a great career. Yeah, he's just like he was saying after, he won the AJP Masters Worlds. He did
second place in the adult worlds in the same year.
He's won the trials before. He's medaled at the trials before. Like you said, he's 36, and he's just still. He could be like a Wagner or a
Wagner Russia.
He just keeps going. It's just like that's what it's looking like. So, to keep performing at that level and to beat someone like Lucas, who's just been in such great form. It's just like he just knows how to win, doesn't he? He just knows how to grind them out.
He's a very experienced competitor, and I noticed that in that match, which was a bit unfortunate, and I don't think was, of course, on purpose, but there was at one point closer to the second half or the end that Bob, freeing his leg, hit his foot right on Lucas's mouth.
Oh yeah.
And I felt that more than just the impact of the foot to the mouth had a bit of a threw Lucas off a little bit, got a bit of an emotional impact. I could see that he got very upset with it. Even Bob apologized on the spot, and I believe it was a sincere apology. Of course, they didn't have the intention of doing that, but
he's never been known as being a
dirty competitor. No. But moving on from that, as the fight continued, I feel that Bob apologized, but at the same time he went back to the mode that he was, hand on the face, covering his mouth. He's like, I'm sorry that happened, but we're back in business, you know what I mean? The trials is on. And I feel that that's where his experience comes handy, because you never get him out of his mindset or out of his game,
Yeah.
And not that Lucas got out of his game. I think he performed extremely well all the way to the end. But at the very end bit, when they were exchanging, standing and wrestling, I felt that Bob knew how to look better for the referees, because he kept shooting, kept shooting.
Yep.
What do you think was the decision? It was very controversial, that decision, because Lucas had, before the points on, Lucas had takedown, or well,
initiated
a takedown,
straight into a guillotine.
Straight into so there were a bit of things.
Yeah.
And at the end, when the fight ended, I remember there were a few guys next to me asking, "Oh, what do you think, Thiago? Who won?" I was like, "Man, I have no idea. This would be a tough one for the judges." Were you part of the decision? Did you hear what was the criteria, or did you?
No, I've I always say to people when people ask me about the rules, I got a fairly good understanding of the rules, but I didn't sharpen up my knowledge of them beforehand for this event, because that's not my job. I'm coordinating, I'm getting it ready for everyone, like John and the team of the guys that came over from Europe. That's their job, so I'm just like
and they do this for 20 odd years. They do this from day one. So it's like they are the rules. John, so he's been pretty much with them since around the beginning. You can go back and watch some of like Marcelo Garcia matches, and John is on the mat. He's the ref on the mat. He's like, so he's been with him a long time. Marco, he's been with him since the start as well. So all these guys, they're going to be very experienced with the rules. That's all they do. So and it's cool that ADCC, they have this. Like I said, it looked like this underground organization that went under the radar for 20 years. Nobody knows who runs, who does anything there. And when you look back, it's always been the same guys moving around the world. Sometimes we think they're doing not much, but then it's just happening and it's growing. And
then obviously Mo came in and just made it huge, with the production and stuff. He was like, he was instrumental, I believe, in just making it, where it is now.
And do you think you were moving to greater things on this side of the world as well with ADCC, maybe? In terms of production, because every year is getting better. Are we expecting to have fireworks next year? Or
like Maddie, he asked me after the event. He was like, "Oh, what would you do different? What would you do?" And I was like, "Oh, now I think about it. I want to add this in next time. We'll do this. So definitely got ideas to make it even better for next time. So
you have 2 years to plan. So so that's the good thing about events that are not like all the time, because you get to build up and prepare, and that is an event and never going to flop. You're never going to have, when we organize certain events like our other events, sometimes you don't know the public acceptance, if people will actually want to participate. But with a franchise like ADCC, that
that was another thing with the event. I was a bit like, with the spectators, I was like, are we going to get like people like a fair number coming in to watch it? And it just, you saw how it was. It was packed. So it's just like, whoa. I was like, whoa. Again, so didn't expect like the size of the registrations and the size of the
public.
Because obviously, in the last couple of years, it's ADCC, it's been getting a bit of slack, for some underwhelming event, ADCC Trials, So I was a bit like, oh, where's it going to be? Like, there's always people like, it's just people on the internet, just talking
all the
bad about
keyboard
it. So
warriors
like,
about it,
how's it going to be? Are people going to be still keen for this? Like, they're still going to be pumped? And so when it started just filling up and all the top names are in there, I was like, holy shit, it's not going away. It's still, so everyone's just keen for it. So
I'm not sure if you remember a conversation we had on the previous trials you ran. I think you ran a Blacktown, the last one.
Yep.
And you were running still the way ADCC trials were supposed to be ran, with people crowding in, sitting on the side,
on the mats,
next to the mat, or little kids and stuff. And I remember talking to you. I said, George, man, we are event organizers in Australia. Australia is different to America or the rest of the world. If one of these 110-kilo dude falls on top of a 5-year-old on the outside, we'll get in massive trouble here in Australia. But ADCC was like that. ADCC culture was like that. And with recent events, things shifted a little bit. And of course, you being an event organizer that runs multiple events, you probably start weighing the pros and cons of like, okay, how much of this culture it's going to make it better and how much is not. And the way you were running now, there was like carpet around the the mats.
The whole floor got carpeted.
The whole floor got carpeted around the mats. It just looked, $1 million compared to how it was before.
Yeah.
The venue you chose, the public had to stay on the stands, so you get amazing view because you're seeing from the top.
Yeah.
But there was not one person inside the area that was not there for a purpose, either to compete or working in the event. And how much better?
Yeah.
It's like safer, much better production. Everybody that will probably cheering for the old ADCC culture at the events now we're complimenting and saying, "Oh, it looks so good now. You did such an amazing job."
Yeah.
Even though that's what people were not asking for, but once you deliver, people value, right?
Yeah. Like I was getting messages like, "Oh, are we gonna crowd around the mat for the finals?" And I was like, "I do. Yeah, I wasn't going to be upset if
it happened,
didn't do it." But I asked John. I was like, "Look, I don't want to do it, but are we doing the crowd around the mat for the finals?" And he just went, "Oh, nah, Marco actually hates that, so let's not do it." And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine by me. Great, perfect."
Oh, much more professional.
Yeah, and then I heard they didn't do it at the last Euro trials. They didn't do it, so it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, and like I was saying to some people, what if we're having a final? You got two guys, one catches a submission, rolls up, like goes into the crowd, falls into a bunch of people, and then somehow he loses his submission because he's fell into people. He's going to be looking at it like, I just freaking won that, and because of these people in the way, I've lost it.
Yeah. No, it can't happen. It cannot happen.
Yeah. Plus, you might hurt someone.
Yeah.
So it's like
which is a double loss, because I lost my submission and I broke a 12-year-old's leg. So like I wanted to break this guy's leg and I broke a 12-year-old that was sitting on the side. So it's horrible. And one thing about the events that I wanted to kind of put out as a very curious question that I have is like, you run multiple events. You run. Back in the day, you started. What was the first one? Sub
Oz sub only.
Oz sub only.
Yeah.
And then you did Teros, and now you run ADCC. You run at the moment probably the most established super fight event in Australia, Subversion. How do you find? You just like studying new things, and trying to see how far you take. You like the suffering of events that don't exist yet. What is the joy for you of building and growing these events? Because one thing that I like to, of course, everyone likes to create something that grows and becomes profitable, but how long do they take to even become profitable, and how much do you have to grind and work your other job to make them happen?
Well, how long are we doing Subversion now?
I think we'll be
about
8 years.
Yeah, been about 8 years. Sorry.
Subversion.
Yeah. How did it?
How did it come about, and what motivates you to start these things from zero, and keep pumping them? Because I remember you were running inside gyms and.
Well, you did BOA Super 8. Mm-hmm. That was like, we used to have one a year. We had a few events, and that was cool. Like,
it was really cool event.
You used to compete at that. I would sit at home and watch it on the live stream. Mm-hmm. Then that sort of went away, and that was we didn't have anything else, did we? There was nothing.
Not, yeah.
And obviously, I used to just watch stuff from overseas. I used to love EBI, and then I was just like, well. Yeah, I was already doing the Oz sub, and then I was like, I'd love to do like an invitational event, and actually that was it. There was the quintet at the time. I remember there was some quintet events, and that's what I was sort of like. Oh, let's do that. Let's do a teams thing, and we held.
The first one were teams. I think.
The first one, we had. We had a grappling education 4 teams. You had a legacy team in there as well.
No, I didn't have one. I think I did. I did one. I think the one I had a team was out at Gracie Maita at West, at Semi Buck's gym.
No.
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was. You were the first one.
Yeah.
You had
Oh yes, I think so. Yeah,
you had Legacy, Kings, Humaita, and GE.
Yeah,
that was the first one.
Yeah.
And then we did the second one at Sammy's gym, and that was the no-gi one. And it was fun. Like, we had a few people there. It was like,
that was quite packed for a gym.
Yeah, it was
like
great.
It was big. Yeah,
and it was just like, I just went because it was like we didn't really, I ended up losing money on both of them, but it was just like, I was like, oh, it's a fun night. It was a good time. Everyone had a good, good night. There was some good matches to watch, and I don't know why I just went, oh, bugger it. I'm just gonna go from here. Just go bang. I just want to go to the Roundhouse and just put on the biggest event I could possibly do.
Man, we are glad you did. And on this one, coming up now, 25th of July.
Yeah, that's our 20th.
Our 20th event
at the Roundhouse. Yeah.
And you're getting a pretty good card. Lately you've been bringing, some big names. Last one we had Mateus Gabriel, world champion.
Yeah.
On a match against Ariel Tabak.
We've had some solid names from overseas. We had
Ash Williams,
Gabriel Souza, Fionn Davis, Adele from Reno. We've had some big names on there. So.
And on the main card now, this time you'll have George Saunders again.
We've got Saunders. He loves it. He's always keen for a match, and he said he needs to get more mat time in before the next ADCC. So he's taking a match there. We got the silver medalist and bronze medalists from the under 99, Sebastian and Josh Shipton.
Yes,
fighting for the light heavyweight belt. So and then there's two female belts, Fran Bavario and Michelle Salva fighting for the belt. And a whole, how many matches this time? 19, 20? Yeah, we've upped it. We've upped it now. I think we got, at the moment, we've got about 24 matches.
Wow.
I used to be like, just 20 only.
Yeah.
But
24 matches now.
Matt's like, oh, we can squeeze a few more in there, So, okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. Me and Richard are planning to this time have a bit of a get together before the event, talk about the card and do a few things. So we will. Yeah. We are already looking at working on it.
Yeah, you guys have been doing a great job with the commentary.
Yeah, we really enjoy. And man, we're really glad that you are actually taking your time and money to spend on pumping up these events that just add to the jiu-jitsu community in Australia. ADCC, Jiu-Jitsu's events that you run them independently as well. Subversion, that is probably, I've competed at it, and I even say, a little bit of credit to you, maybe a lot of credit to Matt as well on the production. That makes your job a lot easier, right?
If I didn't have Matt, it just wouldn't have been where it is.
The event. I said to him before, when I look at who's number one in America or those fight to win, and I see the setup they have and the structure and how they're doing it. Honestly, and I go to Subversion, I said, look, Subversion is equal or better than most of those events, So it's really cool when I see, that you guys are with a full house and sold out and bringing bigger names. Hopefully continues like that. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was like, before this ADCC, I was away working. I was away on night shift for 6 weeks.
Because people don't know, George, what do you do when you are not being a promoter?
Fly in, fly out worker. Yeah. So I do non-destructive testing. I was on a power station outage for 6 weeks on night shift, 11 hour shifts. So I was literally like
earning some money to invest on the events.
Well, I was working all the way through the night. I'd finish like at 6 a.m. I'd get back to my accommodation, pull out the laptop, and I was constantly working on and Subversion ADCC, and I was running on fumes there towards the end. So I was getting a bit burnt out. So,
but it does pay off at the end of events like this, right? We were there.
It's just a relief. I was just that's the thing. I wasn't even excited for ADCC Trials up until when some matches really started going, and I was like, oh yeah, this is it, because just so much work, so much stress before it, just to make sure we get it where we want it to be. You know, like in terms of it has to be a big event that everyone's happy about. So yeah, it was a lot of work, and I was just relieved. Like I just couldn't wait. I was like, I just hope it's a good event, everyone's happy, and I was just relieved at the end because it was a lot of stress.
Look, on our side, you know, I'm still on a high from the ADCC. You know, not only from competing on Saturday, but from the trials on Sunday. Yeah. At the end of the event, myself, you know, Alex and Jacob here at North South, we went to get some dinner and talking about the event and the matches and, you know, all the footage they got, you know, and how cool it looked. They were until past 3:30 a.m. editing and working on it, you know, like just out of, you know, the adrenaline of being in the event. And it's still to this day, we are now on you know, midweek, and I'm still thinking and remembering the matches and talking about it. So really cool that this happened, and thank you for that, you know, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you for coming here, you know, on a little debrief. It's cool for us to learn a little bit about the person behind the production, behind the work.
Yeah, and it's just thanks for you guys for coming and covering the event. And just got to thank everyone that sort of got behind it and supported it, and to all the guys that I had working at the event. They just grinded the whole weekend to make sure it was a success. So appreciate that. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, George.
Thank you.